So you want to build a spaceship set in your basement. You've come to the right place. Hi, I'm Sam. I'm the director and creator of Escape Pod, coming soon to YouTube. Here's a trailer for it right now.
Escape Pod! Two strangers, Rose and Jack, on a space cruise. Then things got bad, trying to survive, trying to get home in an escape pod. All alone!
The first thing we're going to get into is making a plan and a design. That is really the most important part of this whole endeavor, is coming up with a really strong design that can help carry you into the rest of the building process. This is going to include both the aesthetics and how you want to build it. So all of your framing, all of your basic materials that you want to use, to make sure you have a mood board. Pinterest is a great place for this. Putting all of your ideas together in a mood board is super helpful, I find, so you can make sure you get aesthetics. And also I like to include some ideas for how I want to build it, if I find any good examples for that. The real hard part of this is structuring out, is really thinking through each and every part of your plan so you can come up with the cheapest and best way to execute this whole, your whole project. So we really started out with this. General sketch of what I thought the original spaceship was going to look like. And in my original plan, I had it two movable 3-wall things that came together like this. And we could pull apart, and then we could shoot here or here, and that's a bad idea. But what we ended up doing was this. And this is a much stronger design. We pulled a lot of inspiration from, 90s 3-wall sitcoms. And I think that works out really, really well for especially how little room we have on the set. You could, here, look. This is the whole set. Looks a lot bigger in the show. And then that's just my basement over there. So we have, oh, here, I'll go over here. All in all, it's fairly small overall. But I feel like the 3-wall idea really makes this space look a lot bigger than it actually is, which works out really well for us, especially when we have a whole cast and crew down here. Then it gets crazy, really crowded, and we want it to feel open, there's enough room for everyone to do what they need to do. So that was a really important part of our design. So we started with this. So I'm famous, or maybe infamous at this point, for having what I like to call shower thoughts. And shower thoughts are the type of thoughts that you have when you're in the shower. I also came up with the idea for Cardboard Time Machine, which you can find on our YouTube channel right now. It's our feature-length film that I'm really proud of. That whole idea came up with in a shower. The shower is a great time to do some thinking. So what I have is this cool shower notebook that allows me to have my shower thoughts. And this is the original sketch for how I want to do the basement and how I want to lay out the basement. And this was the original sketch for how I wanted to have the set. And this is some math I've done on here. I outlined how I want the set to be a 3-wall set with a general layout. And my shower thoughts are really important, and it gives me a time to think and take pen to paper and brainstorm a little bit. I didn't really think this through. So once we had a sketch of the layout of the basement, then we could go into, I went into Blender and kind of designed a general idea of what this space would look like. So we, I kind of laid out the general idea of the basement and saw how much I needed to include, not include, how far I could get away with having while it's still being a basement, because that was a really important part of this project. And I mocked it up in Blender. And once I did that, then we can get into the building process. So once I sketched it out and I knew exactly what I wanted it to look and figure out all the intricacies of it, I went and got a paper and pencil and I drew out what I wanted each of the frames to look like of the whole ship. And we live in an old house, so I didn't want to like make any permanent changes to the house. So this whole set is actually being held up by 4 screws into the frame of the house. But that's okay because it works and it is fairly sturdy.
Oh my gosh.
So we wanted to make sure that it was all safe for all of our casts and everything. So I over-engineered it, built a lot of extra supports into our frame, and just kind of did a general frame of the whole escape pod. That way, once I had the frame, I could build up on top of it. And this cost me like 80 bucks for the lumber. And if you're ever thinking, oh, Sam, you must have so much money. How did you do all of this? How do you expect me to do this? We built this whole set out of trash for $300, which isn't an inconsiderable amount of money, especially now. It's not like $3,000 or more. So it's something that you can definitely do, and something that is, on the grand scheme of things, fairly affordable. Once I had the frame done, then I could really get into the construction of everything. So I went and I thrifted and I found trash and I found our bead board here that we used for a bathroom renovation upstairs. This was all the extra pieces from our bead board. So I took all that together, built walls, and built everything else out. And now we had this. Once I had the set relatively roughed in after I built out the frame and I built out the general layout of the set, I could then start on painting and decorating. So I have literally a pile of trash, and using this trash, I painted it like this. This is on the wall right over here. This is just a 3D printer filament spool that I put some Velcro on. I painted, put some Velcro on the back, and now it lives there. But then we go back into set design and like the concepts behind set design, and you want to make sure everything tells a story, and I really enjoy that part of set creation. So, you know, every little bip and bob, every little like switch or knob or light or whatever, you gotta like engineer it and in your head think, okay, well that's obviously the capacitor that allows the wire to go here and yada yada yada. That's a button that would help them do this or that. You come up with a story while you're decorating, and it just brings such extra life into your set greebling. So some of the most helpful parts that you're going to be looking for when building a set like this, some of the most helpful greebles while you're thrifting or looking through trash, my favorite has been styrofoam pieces. This came from an old TV box, and that came, I think, also from another old TV box. No, this came from a refrigerator box. This stuff is like $1 at Home Depot. It's for like an attic vent. I bought some foam over here that is just insulation foam that I cut to size. This door is also just insulation foam, and the cryosleep pod, just insulation foam. We also found some artwork that we got really lucky with at the thrift store. We found, you know, just trash. This was just trash, this bin here. Our like panel over here is just an old Game Boy Advance screen from a mod that I did on a Game Boy Advance. These control panels are just broken freezer doors, like the bottom part. Just different things that I found at the thrift store, or like I bought some vintage broken old airline parts on a bidding website, and for like $2. Everything really has been like thrifted and just like, oh, that would be great for this thing on the escape pod, or that would be great for that on the escape pod, and just kind of like gathering all that trash like a raccoon. And you come up with creative solutions to things. Like these seats I found on Facebook Marketplace from someone's bus renovation. This, I think, is the thing I am most happy with, which is the trash dispenser. It has some buttons glued onto it. It has a paint tray screwed onto a drawer sliding mechanism. And this is just an old kitchen cabinet, and this is a bucket top. with magnets covering the screws. You really just have to spend some time going and looking at trash and accumulating that trash like a raccoon, and just thinking through like, how can I upgrade this to become part of my set? And obviously you can manufacture all this stuff and you can make it look, you know, nice and sharp and very modern and whatever by 3D printing or buying or whatever. We're not doing that here. We don't have the money for that. We don't have the budget for that. So it's just trash is what we can make work. You find trash and you find things that look kind of similar to what you're going for, going all the way back to your design phase, and then applying that to how can I get the most out of this trash. And the good thing about using trash is it all comes with texture already. So like, you know, this is all such good texture. This part of the cryo sleep pod is really good texture. This was one of the pieces of foam that we bought, and it has a nice texture on it, but I added these like little strips of cardboard, and in the original test you can't see them at all in our original camera tests. So then we went back and we discovered just adding a little bit of black acrylic paint just as a wash outside makes the door pop so much more. And these are things in your final steps that you have to do. So in your final steps, you're gonna wanna look around and sit in your set for a little while and just think, what doesn't look good? And once you figure out what doesn't look good, you know how to fix it. So we've gone through and we've added, you know, extra texture, some paint in areas. We've added some areas where we've just put some like aluminum foil tape and just little part that we found at a thrift store, or we've added a little bit here, a little bit there, and you keep building it up until it's done. And you're never really going to be done. Thankfully for a show like Escape Pod, we've made a few changes just throughout the season, just because we could or something broke.
Oh my gosh.
So when something breaks, we can just like, oh, that wasn't really working. Let's replace it with this piece of trash that we found. Like the original thing up there, that's no longer with us. So now we have a new cool thing and it's way better. Don't be afraid to like upgrade and change what you do. Continuity is not really important for us for Escape Pod. So we can upgrade little things here and there and I don't think anyone will notice. Another thing that was really important to us for Escape Pod was making sure we had enough screens all over the places to give us that extra little bit of depth. These are the front windows of the Escape Pod, and that's just two TVs up on their sides. And then I had to like program it all to like be the exact pass through to be on the same level because they're different size TVs. These were just old TVs that I had a friend that was throwing one out, and I had one that I was about to throw out and started working again. So we hope it continues to work. But really, the best tips and tricks I can offer you today are make sure you plan out what you're doing. And in your plan include things like framing and like how big you want things so you can really measure and like have the plan going into it so that you're not overwhelmed and you don't get things wrong when you're in it. And number two is like when you're searching for these greebles, these things to like enhance your set, you want a lot of like different textures because that's what's gonna look good on camera. It's gonna take it from this to this. And it's gonna really change the way that the audience sees it and the camera sees it, and that will help you out overall to make your whole everything look a lot more interesting. There's just a whole lot of like interesting textures and interesting things going on in this set that I love. Do that to your heart's content. So you feel like you look at it and you think, wow, that's done. Make sure you have lots of texture and lots of different things because you don't want it to look really flat and dull and CG, and that's no fun. Unless that's what you're going for, in which case, do that. But if you want it to look like it was made out of trash, use trash. Thank you so much for coming to this video. Really hope you learned a lot today. I hope it helps you create something really cool and spectacular like this as well. If you do create something like this, please let us know. I'd love to see what you're doing, and if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. We do now have a Buy Me a Coffee link down below, and that's if you want to help support us. We're 400 coffees away from being able to produce a season 2 of Escape Pod, where we are financially paying for the entire first season ourselves out of pocket, which is not very easy to do because we don't have a lot of money. So we'd really appreciate your help. We're 400 coffees away, so if you want to go buy us a coffee, it would mean the world to us and help you get another season of Escape Pod. We're also going to be doing a lot of behind the scenes video. Whoa, that was loud. We're also going to be doing a lot of behind the scenes videos right here on this channel for how we made Escape Pod, really starting with this one. So check it out. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. There's a bell. Hit the bell to get notified when we have a new video. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on Escape Pod.
Escape!